said live even though it was doing playback, so it's very weird. So real quick, go through a few more plants because I gotta go do some other stuff today. But I was going to show you this cool thing is bed straw. So it's Gallium aparine, and it has these little hairs that grab you. See that right there? And much like burr clover, it has a little fruit that has little hooks on it, and it's as the story goes, a French botanist was studying it, noticed the hooks for the small fruits to collect onto animal fur, and after doing some more study on it, came up with a clever idea, and he had basically invented Velcro. So came off of this plant. I don't think it's exactly the same species, but it's called goosegrass, even though it's not a grass, but or bed straw is another name for it. But the plant itself grips, but the tiny fruits that you can't see right now, because there are no flowers or fruits on it, were the inspiration for Velcro. So it's kind of cool. Good old nature giving us ideas. You already saw the maidenhair fern, which is really nice. This is the kind of moist hillsides here that are nice for all kinds of ferns and such. Or that nasty poison oak right there. This is the hairy honeysuckle I showed earlier. See the leaves, opposite leaves on the stem. And when it gets nice and big and mature, it has fruits, the flowers and fruits. But the flower itself has really nice nectar at the base of it, so you can actually pluck the flower and suck the nectar off the base of the flower tube, and you get a nice little sweet nectar taste. This is a piece of, look at that color there. See how it's shiny and has a little reddish tinge to it? That's when poison oak starts to get mature and really nasty and oily, when you really get a bad case of it. Contact dermatitis. And then there's a nice wood fern down there. More goosegrass. All kinds of trees here. It's a natural, like I said, it's a preserve, natural area. So as these trees fall and die and break down and stuff, and the moss is growing on them and fungi, they just leave them. So it's very neat, natural, picturesque around here. There's even an old car down here back when before this was a preserve. There's a car that was abandoned and rolled down the hill and settled. And then that's airplane for the local Palo Alto airport flying overhead. All right, got some more goodies here. It's a nice tree there. It's sprawling. Some of it broken and settled. That actually broke over and settled all the way over there. And it's all covered with moss. Coast live oak. And what else we got here? Let's see. Now we're getting to the sun again. More blue dicks. This hill is usually really special, but we'll see if it's doing it this time. I don't see him yet. There's a really cool flower called shooting star that often emerges here. This is like a favorite spot for it. I see blue dicks, but I don't see any shooting stars. Where is the shooting star? So you have a trailhead here. Goes that way, goes that way. View down into Highway 280 way down there. Then more views of the bay down there. See if I can find some shooting stars. Well, no shooting stars. Sorry, I'm huffing and puffing. Lots of hill walking. It's a good spot for birds up here. If you're into birding, lots of cool birds in this park. There's little benches where you can take a break. And then over this way, Highway 280. Can't see it yet, but you can see the cool fog and clouds rolling over the Coast Range there, down to where was this area called Crystal Springs Reservoir around here, on the way to San Francisco. If you saw my night drives from San Francisco, I always took 101 coming back. But 280 is another nicer scenic thing. But at night, it's so dark, mostly residential on the hills. There's not much to see, so it's kind of a boring drive. That's why the 101 drive is more scenic, for nighttime use anyway. But during the day, 280 is beautiful. So let's go back this way. I'm going to short walk up to the hill into the chaparral from the oak woodland. I might see some deer, lots of deer on the premises, and also lizards and snakes and, like I said, all kinds of birds, small mammals. You never know what you're going to see. Okay, so let's you doing? Okay. There you go, guys. No carpet, but plenty of dirt and rocks. Okay. Like I said, nice little scenic trail there on the rim. But this trail is actually more interesting. So no shooting stars this time. This is a California sagebrush. It's actually not a sage, but it smells a lot like a sage. It's kind of an idea of convergent evolution. And look at the lichens going crazy on this guy. Very nice. This is a sticky monkey flower. The face kind of looks like a monkey a little bit. Can't tell from this angle. And the underside of the leaves are kind of hairy, sticky. So if you touch them, they appear to grab you. And they're cool because when the insect goes inside to get the nectar, the flower naturally constricts on the body a little bit to encourage more pollen to be deposited on it. And every time it goes into a flower, it has to struggle to get out. So that's sticky monkey flower, and that beautiful orange color there. This is chamise, also called greasewood in the old days. Very, very oil-filled, volatile. We have some new growth on it here. But this one is one of the indicators of chaparral, along with the little scrub oak. But chaparral, like the forest I was talking about where the redwoods are and some of the other conifers, they have so much dead debris over the years that's just sitting there, and when the seedling comes out, it's too wimpy to get through the heavy soil. You can see down here there's all this debris of leaves and stuff quite deep before you even get to any soil. Seedling hits that, it can't penetrate. Usually it's not enough energy to get there, depending on the species. So chaparral was what's called a fire community. It's designed to, over millions of years, to adapt to fires, and the fires renew. They basically burn everything down that's not healthy or can't handle the heat. Burns up all this material down here, creates nutrients right into the soil. So as soon as the seedling falls down, boom. So a lot of these things, like the conifers I was talking about, the fire actually opens the cones, allowing the seeds to come out. Right after that, it's perfect timing to drop the seeds. They can do well. Well, this guy, because of its short-chain fatty acids, are very volatile. And accounts, I don't know how well this has been studied, but accounts I've read basically say that they're volatile and kind of aerosolized to a point. And on a really, really hot day, doesn't take much to ignite them and to start a fire. So it's usually lightning, but it can be other things potentially. And so this is supposedly a fire starter plant of some kind. And so you see it in the chaparral all the time. And it does, it's got the classic adaptation of tiny leaves, waxy leaves, so less exposure and less release of moisture prematurely. Just like these oaks have shiny, waxy leaves, very thin leaves, not thick leaves, but they're very well protected, and they're also spiny to deter browsing animals. See the little spines on there. So deer generally don't eat these except for the young ones. But so a lot of ways to protect yourself in this environment. The California sagebrush is actually kind of wimpy, soft, but it still handles itself pretty well in the heat. It smells really good too. Monkey flower, poison oak. See, poison oak's everywhere. It's in chaparral, oak woodland, redwood forest, edge of the grassland. It's all over the place. And then that's a field of weeds here. This is all oats and stuff. There's a blue dix again poking out. Let's go through a little bit of oak woodland again up to the chaparral, and then see if there's anything else to see. Might get lucky to see some deer. Miner's lettuce. It's actually edible, and the miners did suppose to eat it when they're here settling the gold rush. I've eaten it several times. It tastes leafy, lettucey. Not the best salad in the world, but you can't eat it. Let's see. This is madrone. Has this cool peeling bark and reveals a shiny undersurface. And the peeling bark supposedly came from the old days of epiphytes, like you get in tropical rainforests, where plants grow on the tree to get a free ride, basically, weighing the tree down, so much so that the branches can break from the weight, especially when they're wet. So, idea is some of these plants don't have that issue here, but they still have that trait from long ago. So they tend to peel the bark. There's a nice collection of lichens here and moss on the other side. So you can see the moisture side is the moss, the drier side is the lichen. And lichens are fun because they're it's a mixture of a fungus body and an algae growing inside of it in a mutual relationship, what you call mutualism, or basically sharing the home. So one makes the food, one provides a house and protection, and they can actually stay pretty lively in a dry environment. There's a big version of goosegrass there, those little spiky bits I showed you before about the Velcro. More oaks on the ground. And then you got more oaks here. Poison oak climbing the tree, that's always fun. You see the plants change as we get up here into chaparral. More of the monkey flower, chamise. More of the oaks, smaller scrubby oaks. Here's the white yarrow before it opens. More of the toyon bush. Nice big monkey flowers. And what else we got up here? See all the sun exposure. So it's the end of the day, it's more shady. The middle of the day it'd be super hot here. Hot and dry. That's this is a spiny one called gooseberry. Interesting. See, poison oak everywhere, all through this stuff. Bad, bad, bad. Now we leveled out. So again, middle of the day, hot as hell up here, and dry. The plants reflect that. You won't find some of the other ones up here. Again, lichens on everything. Lichens. It's like flocking on Christmas trees. There's some good flowers coming up here on the hillside. Hopefully they're still there. There's some nice colors. So now we're getting some shade here. Try to have a transition zone here as well. A little bit of oak woodland mixed with chaparral. Chaparral is Spanish for scrub oak, essentially. Since the Spanish settled this area, a lot of plants and habitats carry their names. And you had like old westerns called high chaparral, stuff like that. Okay. Lots more toyon bushes here. There's a pitcher sage, very nice. It's a true sage, unlike the sagebrush I showed you earlier. Nice cluster of monkey flowers. Lots of birds up here if you listen carefully. That little beep noise you're hearing, that's part of the dive behavior of the male Anna's hummingbird. It does this beep noise, which is actually made by its wings, which is pretty cool. There's a video showing how they did that. And when you hear that beep, if you have clear sky around you, you look up and you'll see a little hummingbird going vertically up about 50 to 100 feet, maybe more. And they'll hover for a bit and they'll do this big J drop. They'll just fly in a J pattern, straight down and then hook. And it's a display to catch the female's attention. Very cool. Anna's hummingbird is a structural color feathers on the neck. So in one angle they look kind of dark and maybe a little bit shiny, and all of a sudden they turn and the light hits it just right, prismatically reflects back a shocking red, like a ruby color, metallic. And it's just beautiful. But you have to catch the light just right, just like a prismatic effect. They're called structural feathers. You get them in ducks and tons of other animals, where it's not a true color of the feather, it's a structural color, and the light bends to create the color. So that was the pinnacle of the walk. There's the hot spot. Now we're going downhill, a little more shaded area. Still some of the same plants, but starting to get a little cooler as we go down here. And Not seeing anything new yet. This is coyote brush here. This is nice. Coyote bush or coyote brush, some different words for it, but very common bushy plant around this area. Not too many coyotes around here, but that's what it's called. There's a honeysuckle in a much bigger version with the opposite leaves there. On a nice tendril coming out. It's pretty strong. It can stick way out into the open air, but it's basically viney. It grows around stuff. There's some more blue dicks. Can't quite place that bird. It could be a wren or it could be a warbler. I'm not up on my bird songs lately. I forgot a lot of them, but